if you subscribe to the theory of having everybody be on message will give a better customer experience and close more deals, this is, a way to do it with enablement. It's hard for me to even understand why you wouldn't. so to me, that'd be almost first and foremost, right? Is I know everybody wants to go to deals and Salesforce and pipeline and all that, but what's the story that you're going to go tell? And what are you doing to make sure everybody understands it? That's enablement.
I love it. I love it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live conversation with one of the most amazing sales leaders on the planet, my dear friend, Bob Horan. Bob, please say hello.
Hello, everybody. So thanks for having me, Eli.
It's great having you here. I've known Bob for a long time. We go back to our Salesforce days, and he's a tremendous leader. It's been a pleasure to collaborate with you over the years. What's top of mind for you right now? Like, what are you really focused on, and what are you rolling out? What are you engaging your team with? Curious to hear what's top of mind for you.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't want to come across as I've got it all figured out. I mean, I'm sure there might be some members of my team on this call going, "What is he talking about?" Because it always sounds perfect when you're on a webinar like this, and we never make mistakes, and it's all great. But for me, I kind of break things down into a couple dimensions and ways of looking at it. First off, in sales, you've got to focus on the numbers themselves. One, start looking at, your pipeline, your motions, your segments, your production and all those. So let's put that aside, because in many cases, that's going to be a result of all the other things that you're kind of doing along the way. So for me, it's all about, when I get to a company, it's all about installing what I call my 6 pillars. And I don't always do those right away. In fact, I focused on 2 of the 6 initially at Illusive, and now we're installing the rest of them. But when I look at the pillars to install, I mean, the first thing, and I will always say this, everything starts and stops with talent and getting the right. It's good to great, right? Get the right people on the bus. Make sure you're enabling them appropriately. You're getting their feedback as well. That's the fun part about a startup, is it's 2 parts build, 1 part operate, where you go to other companies, it might be 3 parts operate, or 1 part build, 2 parts operate. So we're still building a team, and everybody as they come in has to have their voice. And so it starts with talent. 2 for me is this whole experience, right? We talked about the customer experience and some of the stories from Salesforce. How do I create for my 2 constituents, right? The people on the team and for our customers. How do we create this amazing experience? And just getting creative around it. I've got, my Nir Greenberg, who runs our SEs, is in the middle right now of working with an agency on creating a gamified demo. So it's not just showing our product, but it's something a way to engage our customer and have them play with it. That's a fun gamified way. That's not just the typical, let's look at the bits and bytes of the product. That's 2. 3 and 4 are somewhat tied together. It's, what's the value? And then 3 and then 4 is what are the outcomes? Because those are 2 different things, right? Value is something that we believe customers are going to get. Outcomes are, what are they actually getting, which will feed into something you're big on, right? Is customer stories. Yeah. Tell your customer stories. And really, it's another great way. I'll use Saleshood. Every customer story we have, every customer we have is in our stories library. And, as I get older, my memory gets worse and worse. And this used to happen, not so much anymore because I'm at home, but be like, oh man, I'm going, I'm calling on a bank. What's we've got a few Canadian banks. What's one of their stories? And, I forget about it, and I pull it up on my phone and search in my ear, and I listen to the story. It's 2 minutes, and now I'm re-educated. Now I'm ready to go tell it at that meeting. And so it's like a real-time way of reminding yourself what that story is. Or if you've got hundreds of stories, you can't know them all. So that's the bridging value and outcomes. The 5th actually is process. And I focused primarily on 1 and 5 at the beginning, getting our sales stages down. Yeah. We're going through our qualification training right now. So we're going through MedPick. I think we're on week 5 this week of 13 weeks, and it's already made an amazing impact. So making sure we've got the right qualification criteria and process in place, it helps our win rates.
Yep.
And then last, and it's certainly not last because it closes the loop on the 6 pillars, is data. That's probably something I didn't look at as much earlier in my career because it wasn't as plentiful. And we've got, there's so many tools out there to give you great data. We just, started using Atrium, and it's given us some insane graphics and data that we can look at to, start to really look at emotions and productivity and things like that.
Wow, that's a great list. I love the list. Talent and experience, and I'm just internalizing it. Value, outcomes, and then process, and then the last one is data. I think that's the CRO playbook for driving revenue growth. What does messaging alignment look like at Illusive? Like, what is like? How does it work for you guys?
Yeah. So would we? Well, so we do our huddles, every other week.
Yeah.
And mind you, we have a brand new marketing team that just started last fall, and our new head of product marketing, I think he started mid-December, and they're amazing and trying to match some of the changes that are happening with cybersecurity, right? If you look at, COVID brought in this work from home. So the minute COVID hit, we had to shift our messaging a bit to remote workforces and how to secure work from home and VDI and some of those things. Then this summer, ransomware really started to run rampant. And our product, is amazing at solving the ransomware problem. So making sure we reinforce, and I didn't know anything about ransomware other than, the spam that you get. I've never been ransomed, but you get the crazy spam and the calls and all those things. And then SolarWinds attacks started to hit, mid-December. And so you've got to be on your toes and make sure that not only do you have reinforcement of your standard pitches, but you've got them very tailored to what's really happening in the world. And since our world's been changing rapidly, making sure we've got these live huddles followed by Q&A, but then they're recorded. And then on top of that, we can start to slice and dice those as we're bringing on new people. We hired 29 people to just my team, and I've got sales, customer success, professional services, and support. Small company, hiring 29 people to get them up to speed, not only on our story, our customers' stories, and then the changing environment is crazy.
So how do you measure? Because I get asked this all the time, right? Like, I get it. We want our sales teams and our revenue teams, customer success folks. We want everyone to be able to be conversationally competent, align with our messages, know the stories. How do you measure the impact as a CRO? How do you know what's working?
We'll do everything from, measuring just the team itself. We run we typically at our QBRs or SCO, even last SCO, we were actually testing out a new deck at our last SCO. It was probably 80% complete, and we ran a contest. Again, I feel like I'm going to be a commercial for Saleshood, but we ran it in Saleshood. After SCO ended, we said everybody's got, I think it was a week, to record their pitch with the new deck. We broke everybody in teams of 3 or 4. With the AE leading, everybody got a technical person. They might have had a support or CS person, and then maybe someone from marketing or another discipline in the company. And it also allowed us to bring some disciplines together and people together that haven't really connected. That's the other hard part with COVID, right? You're kind of stuck with who you connect with every day, and you're not having these sidebar conversations that you don't have. And so when we run that, we'll have a contest, and by the way, there's one winner and a set of steak knives for second place.
I love it. Typical, perfect. I love it. They're recording their pitches, right? They're recording their pitches, and this one had dual use, right? Because we not only were able to just look at how things are being presented, but it also gave our marketing group an opportunity to look at the new presentation and finish that last mile of putting it together as we send it out. And then we'll do some elevator pitch contests from time to time, and again we'll measure that. So building that bridge to who's doing really well at these pitches, and it's a great coaching tool. But then also, let's start to tie it to those that are creating pipeline and closing business as well. And there's usually a really strong correlation. Yeah, listen, it's the ultimate in onboarding, right? You're going to get all your sellers practicing their pitches, the best ones bubble up to the top, and then new folks come in there and they're able to binge on them, practice them, see how the best are doing. They can replicate, and then it's this ongoing snowball effect of boosting productivity. And you're the master, and I'm super grateful that we've been able to kind of partner over the years together. It's been great. So what are some wins you've had, right? In terms of, you ramped a whole new group of folks and so they're ramping, right? So maybe comment on how well they're ramping and what that looks like. I think you also mentioned that there's some improvements in your qualification and win rates. You're seeing some great, and then in general, it'd be great to just kind of get a feel for what the culture is like now, because you've got this aligned organization that's distributed. So maybe just talk a little bit about some impacts and some wins that you've been able to kind of put on your success checklist.
Yeah, let me start with the one that's probably, I guess I can measure, but it's not a perfect measurement. Is since my first pillar is talent, that's my biggest win, is getting the right team and right talent in place. And some of the I've got one that actually worked at Salesforce as well, and I think he just joined and he's been on 5 of my teams. I've got some people that have been on 3 and 2, and then some new people that are absolutely amazing, because when you build a team, don't just build it with putting the band back together, because the second time the band is back together, the music isn't quite as good as the first time. You're not as creative, and so I've got a great nucleus of people I inherited, a nucleus of people that have been on my team before that understand the playbook, and then a nucleus of great people that have joined since. So to me it kind of starts there. And then I'll also add, we rehydrated, the pipeline significantly. I think in 2020 we killed 364 opportunities. For a small team, that's a ton, while growing the pipeline and focusing on the right items. We actually doubled our win rate as a result, because we were focused on the right customers, the right segments, and the right verticals. We also went into 2020 at SCO. We said, here are the 9 deals we really want to close this year. 9 big ones, right? I mean, we closed a lot of deals, but there were 9 that we looked at and said, we got to get these. And we closed 7 of the 9. One of them died, and the other will close this year.
Right.
And this year, we said, okay, we've gone from 9 now to 16. And we've already, in Q1, I'm going to say 3, but one of them's it's supposed to get signed today, so I don't want to jinx it. So 2 right now. And then another thing that we're really proud of with the team, we had 3 babies last year, and then 5 on the way. What does that say about COVID?
Oh my God! And so it's great. Congrats, right? I think fast ramp of the new team. You've got a great collaborative culture that's distributed, amazing, better qualification, cleaned up the pipeline, got a bunch of great wins, better win rates. And listen, you showed up and you told the team how important it was to do messaging alignment, to build the right structure for onboard, and to get a library of stories. That's hard, right? Not every CRO thinks this way. This is why I really wanted you to come and share your story, because you've got a strong, focused emphasis on the importance of sales enablement in a CRO's go-to-market strategy, and it's amazing to hear.
And it's never good enough or fast enough while you're going through it. And then when you're done and you start to take inventory and look back, you say, wow, we got a lot done. I mean, we had 80% brand new team.
Yeah.
And we doubled our, what we call our new ARR, during that process. And so, and in the middle of a pandemic, I think that.
In the pandemic with everybody working home.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, right? You can't touch and feel customers. You can't be in a meeting and have that sidebar conversation followed by, so we're big enterprise typically, and followed by, a nice steak and some cocktails, and have that real conversation that you don't get in the boardroom. And we do miss that.
What some advice do you give CROs on just like how to handle selling in COVID? What are some stuff you're doing with your team to kind of push through this crazy time?
Yeah, I guess it's probably a couple different stages. The first stage is just, everybody was doing the team happy hours and some of those things to keep connected. And I think everybody got tired of that. And now you kind of move from figuring it out and forced fun and forced integration to First, nothing's better than just prepping and talking about deals, because that's the greatest way to get together. I also, added more deal reviews as a result, because it forced us to get together, pipeline reviews, strategy sessions, things like that. The thing that, was a big aha, I think in the last probably 30 to 60 days, especially with the distributed team, you've got countries like the UK and people in Tel Aviv that they have been really cooped up. And I can just see it in their eyes that, this is emotionally, physically draining, as opposed to certain parts of the US where, living in Texas, while we haven't been open, we've been probably more open than almost anywhere. And so you've got to look at everybody regionally and what some of the things that they're going through. In fact, in the next hour, I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to some people on my UK team, because, I can't imagine, in these small flats, what they're going through. So just the people connection is really important. And then, just making sure that, not only are we talking about the personal side of life and business right now, and then, just talking about how do we do things a bit more creative with our clients, given that we're not spending any time with them. Sending gifts and Sendoso stuff that wears people out over time. We've kicked around at our last leadership team meeting too, is instead of doing some of that stuff, why don't we, if you attend our event, we'll donate some money to charity on your behalf, things like that. And then finding the cadence of events, right? We went from the big tent events where everybody's physically there.
Yeah.
And we still had the big tent events where a bunch of people that didn't know how to run those events were trying to do them online. And there was no interaction. To what we figured out is these small, intimate settings, one-on-one, where you kind of appointment set some things along the way. And then things like you're doing as well, right? Is people want thought leadership right now. They want to be inspired, and they want to learn something, and give them, that's your currency.
One last question is, so I want you to imagine you're speaking with kind of a room full of fresh, brand new, first-time CROs that might be a little skeptical on sales enablement, right? Like, I got to do the training. What would you say to them? What would you say to inspire them to really lean into it? Or what would be your advice to them about sales enablement?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to look at two things, right? If you want to get people on board, just take away Saleshood, enable, all that. If you care about ramping people quickly, by the way, we didn't even talk about, ramp time went down for us. Time to first deal went down as a result. But if you want to get people just selfishly closing business faster, it'll help you, because you can put your calendar together and you don't overwhelm them. Again, especially, you're not going to fly them in anymore to be in a big room and have a boot camp for 5 days. So you've got to give them some bite-sized chunks. And I think that's what, again, I think Saleshood and just, the new way of doing enablement is going to really help them.
So congrats to you, right? You have hired a new team, reduced time to ramp, reduced time to close, improved win rates. And you guys are still early in the trajectory of the growth that you're going to experience. It's a pleasure to have you, and thank you very much, Bob. It's been a pleasure speaking with you here, and thank you.
Hey, I appreciate the invite, and anytime Elay calls, I show up.
That's awesome.